Today our yoga class is going to be no pressure on the knees. So a lot of people maybe liked yoga at one point, but now it hurts their knees or could never do yoga because kneeling is super uncomfortable. And so what's awesome about yoga is that it doesn't matter what it looks like. It's about your breathing and mindfulness and being present as you do it. But you can get the benefits in a lot of different ways. There's lots of ways that we can modify things. So today we're going to be eliminating some of the usual things that bother our knees. And we are going to start laying down on our backs with our knees bent. But if you could have a chair nearby, that will be a helpful thing. We're going to do some stuff laying down, then some stuff in a chair, and then some standing things. So have a chair nearby. If you don't have a chair, but you feel comfortable just sitting on the ground, you can do all of these seated stretches just sitting on the floor. But if you feel better sitting on a chair or your couch, it does not matter what the chair looks like as long as you're comfortable in it. So we'll start laying down on our backs. And just start to drop in here. Get cozy. Notice if you're holding tension in your jaw, you can let that go. And tap into one of your five senses. So you can pick whichever one is least irritating. So if you're hearing a lot of annoying sounds or smells, pick a different sense. And so hearing, for example, listen to all the little sounds coming from around the room. Which side of the room are they coming from? Hear anything happening outside? Any hum of your appliances? We're always glad to hear those sounds because it means things are working. And then see if you notice any of your own sounds. Can you hear any of your own breathing sounds? Maybe it's very, very slight. Now go ahead and take your feet wide apart on the mat, almost so that they're almost off the mat, and then start to take a gentle sway of your knees side to side, loosening up through our low back here. There's no rules on how far we have to go. Just taking your knees all the way over to the right as far as feels good, and then back to the center, and then letting them fall over to the left. It's okay if your opposite hip lifts up a little bit as you do this. Continue focusing on that sense as we get our back moving. And back up to the middle, bring your feet a little closer together, not quite touching, and we're going to take a figure four stretch. So bring your right leg up, crossing the ankle over the left knee. Now that you're here, some people might feel a stretch here. If you give some gentle pressure on your right thigh, pushing outwards, you might feel a stretch in your right booty. If you don't feel one, go ahead and pick up your left leg and reach through this keyhole here to grab your left leg. Breathe, let your body be heavy. Let your head and neck relax back down to the floor if they lifted up. tap back into what you're hearing around you. We can use this mindfulness of one of our senses as a grounding strategy to help us stay in the present moment as we do yoga. Let go of the stretch on this side, unwind your legs, and then opposite side, same stretch, crossing your left ankle over your right knee. And then again, if you feel a stretch here, you can stay here, give some gentle pressure outwards on your left leg to increase the stretch. Or reach behind the right leg through this keyhole, grab a hold of your leg to increase the stretch that you feel in your left glutes. Unwind out of this, and we'll set up for bridge pose. So knees are bent here, arms are by your sides, and feet are not touching but are still pretty close together. So as we lift up here, we're going to be mindful to not let our knees like spread apart, but to keep them in line, kind of magnetized towards each other. So go ahead and on an inhale, lift your hips up, squeeze your buns, magnetize those knees towards each other, and really press through the whole sole of your foot. So feel that pressure through not just your heels, but the ball of your feet and even your toes. Help you fire those buns. Lower all the way down. And then notice if throughout that, if you felt it in your back, and if you did, try to focus more on feeling your butt muscles fire there. So go ahead and lift up again, squeezing your buns. All of our toes staying on the ground. And then slowly lowering all the way down. Good, we'll take one more round of that. Rising up, squeezing your booty at the top. And lowering all the way down. Go ahead and bring your knees in towards your chest and take a hug. You can grab behind your knees and hug them into your chest. Nice stretch for our low back. And then let go of your legs and take a long body stretch. Reaching all the way towards the top and bottom of your mat. Take up some space here. And then roll to your side. Take your time coming up to a seat. And then we're going to go grab a chair. So be careful walking over to grab that if you get a little dizzy or anything after being laying down. Okay, we've got our chair. You don't have to put yours on your yoga mat, but I will. And then go ahead and find a comfortable seat. We're going to start with seated cat-cow. All right. So sitting here for cat-cow, you can put your hands on your knees. And then starting with cow, that is where we are dropping our tummy forward, looking up. And then cat, we're gonna round in, look towards our belly button. And alternate between these two. So looking forward, Feeling our pelvis tilt forward as well with this, looking up towards the ceiling, and then rounding our back, looking inwards. Arch and look forward, shoulders back, and round in. Let's do this with another arm variation. This is like my favorite arm variation with the sitting cat-cow. Is starting with cow pose, we're going to take our arms to a cactus position. So as we tilt our pelvis forward, then bring your elbows back in space with this cactus arms to get a nice stretch across your chest. Look up to where the ceiling meets the wall in front of you. And then as you round in, like you're tucking your tail under, curving your back out, bring your hands clasped out in front of you, stretch them away from your chest as you look in. Feeling a big stretch between the shoulder blades. And then we're all gonna alternate between those two. So cow pose, bring your arms back, big stretch across the chest. And then round in, stretch those hands out away from you. And back and forth between these two. Rocking forward, elbows back, and pelvis back, arms forward. Tuck your tail, and back up to sitting. Here, so seated side angle, go ahead and come to more of the front of your chair. Side angle is like my favorite yoga stretch ever. And so I really like that we can do it in sitting. Knees really wide, feet wide as well. And then you're gonna lean over towards your right leg, set your elbow down on that right knee, and then reach your opposite arm up and over. So we're getting into our side body here. So really feel that lengthening from your left hip all the way through your left fingertips. And then play around with where your gaze is. So see how it feels to be looking at the ground, but then also see how it feels to look up towards the ceiling. Sometimes when we've kind of maxed out on this stretch, we can get a little bit more out of it by taking our gaze up, which takes a little bit of our chest up towards the ceiling as well. Once you feel like you're in a comfortable place, breathe into that left side of your low back. Revisit those sounds around you. What do you hear? Rise up to the middle and we'll switch sides. So leaning onto your left leg. Be careful as you do this to not let your left shoulder shrug up. So make sure that you can still feel some space between your left shoulder and your ear, and then reach that right arm up and over, getting into this side body, seeing what's different here today compared to our left side. And then again, playing around with the gaze, see how it feels to look at the ground, see how it feels to look in front of you and or up towards the ceiling. Again, even though we're reaching from our right hip to our right fingertips, not shrugging that right shoulder up into our ear. Rise all the way back up, and then bring your legs back together, scoot back in your chair, just get nice and supported, and make sure both feet are flat on the ground, and that you are sitting just towards the front of your sits bones here. So not directly on them, that's a little bit too far back, but we do want to feel that contact of our butt bones on the chair. So sitting nice and tall, keep that position in your pelvis as you reach your arms all the way up, and then keeping your pelvis facing forward, turn your upper body to the right and open those arms up in a T. Reach that right arm back to the back of the room. Feel a nice stretch in your back here. And then bring your hands out back together up overhead and then open up to the left. Again, with this one, notice if you're shrugging. A lot of times our arms are just not used to doing any sort of movement without those upper traps firing. So even something as simple as this can be an exercise in relaxing our shoulders. Bring your hands back together overhead, and we'll take another round of those to each side. Turning to the right, twisting, opening, finding some length between the tops of our shoulders and our ears. And then back to the front, arms briefly come together up overhead and then opening up to the left. Beautiful. We'll take a seated twist here. So hand on the left hand on the outside of your right knee, and then your other arm will grab the back of the chair. We're turning to our right. So different from the twist we just did, we're gonna let our lower back come along for the ride here as much as it wants to turn. And turning and looking over our right shoulder. So these points that we have of like on our knee and on the back of the chair, these aren't to force us to go further, they're just to help us access the range that we already have. So be gentle with your body. Sometimes we think if we just stretch a little bit harder, then we'll get some more length, but really we want to be gentle and kind and caring to our bodies. Slowly unwind out of this side. Shake it out a little in the middle if you need to, and then turn to your left side. This time right hand goes on the outside of the left knee, and your left arm is going to grab the back of the chair or whatever feels accessible and within reach for you. And then you can turn and look over your left shoulder. Again, noticing the sounds around you. One of my favorite sounds at home is when the dishwasher is running. That is just peaceful. Pretend you're at the beach even though you're in Iowa and it snowed yesterday. Unwind out of this, and then this is going to feel kind of silly, but we're just going to take a forward fold in sitting. So your legs can be together, that's kind of nice support for our low back, and then just fold forward over your legs and let your head and neck go here. You can grab your opposite elbows. Take a little shake of your head side to side like you're saying no. Someone just asked you if you wanted to do something. You do not want to do that thing. Shake your head side to side. And then rise up out of this. Let's get this chair out of the way, and then we'll do some of our standing stuff. So come on back to your mat if you took a hiatus to go over to the couch. We are going to meet in downward facing dog. So how do we get there without going first from our knees? So bending forward, big bend through your knees. Place your hands on the ground and then slowly walk those feet back as you push through your hands into down dog. But however you get there is just fine as long as it feels okay to you. So then play around with a few weight shifts here. Shift your weight forward and back, moving into the ball of the foot, and then sinking those heels down into the ground. And send your chest towards the ground like you're reaching your heart towards your toes. Then look forward to the space between your hands and walk your feet all the way up there. Take a pause here, bring your feet wide on the mat for ragdoll, and grab your opposite elbows. Again, take that shake side to side. And then let your head go here. Heavy head, heaviest your head has ever been. Least effort we have ever put into trying to hold it up. Take a little sway side to side. Say hello to your hamstrings. And then let go of your arms, walk your feet together. Take a halfway lift, so hands at the shins, shoulder blades squeeze onto the back as we straighten our spine and reach the crown of our head towards the front of the room. And then fold all the way in, let go, and then big reach of your arms all the way up to the ceiling for mountain. And take those cactus arms again here. We're just going to take a tiny back bend, just in our upper back. So before you bend backwards, draw your belly button in, engage your core, and then just lift your heart out towards the ceiling, just a little bend in our upper back. And then rise all the way back up, reach your arms long, fold in, and then plant your hands, step back into down dog. Reach your heels back. This time, take a little weight shift side to side. Feel this mostly happening at your feet, but you're getting a little weight shift at your arms. Keep sending that heart back towards your feet. And look forward again between your hands, walk forward. And then a big sweep of the arms all the way up. And then at the top, finding a nice tall mountain, draw in your core, and then a side stretch here. So grab your left wrist and then reach up and over to the right. Nice big, I forget if this is called something moon. And then back up to the middle, grab your left wrist, right wrist, and then up and over to the left. Breathing into that right side body. And then back up, reach towards the ceiling, and then fold all the way in. Plant your hands and step back once again to down dog. Check back in on those sounds around you. Just notice, did anything change from the beginning of class? Are there any new sounds? Reach your right leg high and then step that leg through for a low lunge. It doesn't have to be a very big low lunge, so if you didn't step forward that far, that's okay. And then we're gonna rise up into crescent. So feel free to be next to a wall or something because this can be quite the balance challenge. And then bend into that front knee so it's about probably less than a 90 degree, but or more, but knee over the ankle here. And then we're on the ball of our back foot. So in this one, engage your core again, but also think about engaging your left butt cheek to feel a stretch on the front of your left hip. Your hands can be on your hips, maybe at heart center, or they can be up overhead. So take your favorite or try something new, whatever you're in the mood for today. Sometimes a little bit of each is just what I need. And then go ahead and open up into Warrior Two. So turning our body towards the left side of our mat. Our front foot stays pointing forward and our back foot is going to be perpendicular to the mat. And then bend into that front knee again. Knee stays stacked over the ankle, and then bring your arms up to be reaching towards front and back of the room. So beautiful Warrior Two here. And then reverse warrior. Let your left arm just rest on your back leg, and then your right arm reaches up and back. Look towards your back foot. Back leg stays super strong and straight here. And then this does not have to look graceful, but the transition that is used very frequently is to kind of cartwheel the arms around. So you're making a big windmill motion. Arms draw in this big circle, and then landing, framing the right foot. And then step that foot back into down dog. Does not have to look like that. However you do that transition is just fine. This time lift that left leg high, and then step it through low lunge on the left side. Rise up into crescent here. And then checking in. Let's get our core engaged. Let's get our right booty working. And then get that left knee stacked over the left ankle. Check out where you want your hands on this side. It's okay if they're not the same. There can be a lot of pressure in yoga classes to do things exactly the same on one side as you did on the other, but truly our bodies are not symmetrical by nature of just how we live. And so it's okay if you want to do things different on one side. Then Warrior Two, open up towards the right side of the room. Again, those right toes are going to be perpendicular to the mat, left toes stay pointing forward, and keep that knee stacked over the ankle. Sometimes it wants to flop in towards the side that we're facing. You want to keep it strong and pushing out. Back knee straight, back front of the thigh is working super hard, and arms stretching towards either end of the mat. Looking out just past the middle finger on your left hand. Reverse warrior, let your right arm rest, and then left arm reaches up and back, looking towards that back foot. Keeping that strength of the front leg to keep the knee stacked over the ankle, even as we look back, not letting that knee fall to the right. And then again, if you want to do that cartwheel, that's bringing your hands around to frame the left foot, stepping back to down dog. Last one. If there's anything you like to do in down dog that we haven't done yet, feel free to do that here. Otherwise, walk your feet up towards your hands, and then take a seat and lay all the way down on your back. We'll take a butterfly stretch here. So this is with our knees bent and feet flat. Then we're gonna let the soles of our feet meet and let our knees drape out to the side. You should feel a nice stretch here at the inner thighs. Depending on where you have your feet as far as close to you, further away from you, you might feel a different stretch here. So if you don't like what you're feeling, change it up, or you can just lay totally flat. Tap back into the sounds around you. And then start to again notice the sound of your own breathing. Notice how you could even make the sound of your breath a little louder if you wanted to hear it more. Use your hands to help your legs up out of this stretch, and then pick out whichever resting posture is your favorite for Shavasana. So traditional is just laying on your back with your legs out straight and arms down by your sides, palms towards the ceiling. If your low back does not like this, you're more than welcome to bend your knees. You can do Shavasana anywhere, any posture. You can sit back in the chair that you were in earlier if you like that. You can lay down on the couch, cover up with a blanket, but just get comfortable. And then place 2 hands on your belly. We're going to tap into our breath for this last final posture here. Once you're comfortable, just notice the breath. And notice how your belly moves as you breathe. See if you can create a little rise of the hands on your tummy as you breathe in. And then feel those hands fall as you breathe out. Again, let your head be heavy, let your shoulders be heavy. And if this breathing feels confusing or frustrating, just ignore it, totally toss it to the side, and just take a few moments to relax here. When you're ready to get moving, go ahead and take some motion through your wrists and ankles. Option to take another nice long body stretch. And then we'll slowly roll to our side and take a break in a seat before you get on with the rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I hope you enjoyed this class. Thank you for taking the time to take care of yourself. It's so important and it's really hard to do, but more important than ever. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you here next Tuesday.